worked in 5 law firms since I was like 2 years old, and like now I know how to write a client care letter by heart. Like, hi everyone, and welcome to Apprenticeish, where we talk all about apprentices, apprenticeships, kind of. So today's video is going to be all about the interviewing part. So this is part 2 in the Solicitor Apprenticeship application, I guess, series now. There's going to be one more after this, so soon it will come. But essentially, I just wanted to make it abundantly clear, this is a disclaimer. Timestamps are in the description below, but
this is obviously not for every single apprenticeship. I'm not trying to cover every single degree apprenticeship out there. I'm not trying to cover every single firm out there. I'm just speaking from experience, my experience and experience of people that I've spoken to. So obviously, please continue to speak to other people because I'm sure they might have had a different experience or similar, who knows. But just to know, this is not like a one-stop shop for everything to do with the solicitor apprenticeship process, because it will vary depending on the firm, their ethos and what they value.
So now that that's out of the way, let's get right into the video. Okay, so the application is the very first stage that I spoke about in the previous video. Now, this will vary quite a bit. So some firms have an application that they have like literally on their website. You sign in, it's like a portal thing. And then on that portal, they'll have a multitude of, they have a few different questions on that, and that's what I'll be breaking down. So the first thing to know is obviously like generic information. Even if they don't have it in that part of the application process, at some point before they see you, I think, I'm not sure, but from my experience, it's been before they see you, it will be generic questions about like what your name is, equality, diversity and inclusion information, criminal history, maybe some firms ask if you know someone at the firm, and that's how you were able to find out. How did you find out about the application? Marketing stuff. So it really varies. Some firms won't be asking every single part of that category, but it's quite straightforward. You know, you either know the answer, it's either yes or no. Do you get it? So it's generally information about you and how you know about what you know, and like what you know specifically in relation to you. So your background, age, gender. Essentially, who are you and how did you find us? In a nutshell. So the next point that they will probably include on the application is your grades. So academics, histories, I even said plural, like you've lived many lives. But basically it's just asking you about, again, like it's just very factual information. They will ask about what grade you got or what grade you're predicted, because obviously there was a period where people didn't actually have to sit exams. And then they'll ask about your GCSE grades. From my experience, they ask about your GCSE grades, especially for maths and English. And then they also ask about your A-level grades as well, or your BTEC grades, or your other qualifications that you got. So obviously it depends on where you work, but from the applications that I didn't see anything that didn't like acknowledge other qualifications outside of GCSEs and A levels and BTECs. Like I done a level 3 diploma, and there's usually a section where you can type out anything extra, or if they don't have that box there, then they'll usually have somewhere in the application where you can explain anything to do with your academic side. Some, not all, but some firms or companies have a section where you can write about extenuating circumstances. I always pronounce the word wrong, don't come for me, but they are like, is there any reason, for example, why you didn't get the grade that you wanted to get or that you should have gotten? I don't know. So for example, if you didn't do as well, or even if you did do really well, you might want to put that in there anyway. Maybe someone close to you passed away, or you were going through like an intense medical issue, or like there was just a lot going on in your household or whatever. There's some, I repeat, not all, not all have a space for you to include that information. So please use it if that applies for you, just so that the company is able to like have a better picture. I used it. Use the box if it applies to you. Now, the third part that I'm going to speak about, I will also note that they'll talk about your work history. Now, I think for me, when I was writing about my work history, I kind of wove it in my application. So I can't remember if I actually applied using, like with the role that I have now, I can't remember if I used just what they gave and also sent through my CV, but basically, put your work history down. Don't care a server at McDonald's, like nobody business. The fact is you've actually had a job, like you know how to turn up on time and you didn't get fired. If you did get fired, I hope there's a reason for it. But the point is it shows that you're able to actually work. When you have a job history, and when I say job history, it could literally be one job. It could be like an assistant job, like maybe your auntie or neighbor or something owns a store and you help out, or do you get what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be, oh yeah, I worked in 5 law firms since I was like 2 years old and like now I know how to write a client care letter by heart. Like nobody's looking for that. No, if they are, it's not me too, I have no words. But I feel like that's very mad for us for a solicitor apprenticeship application when it's supposed to be an entry level thing. The reality is, they kind of want to see like have you had evidence of, you know, actually being in employment? Can you turn up to work, etc., etc. Again, if you don't have work history, then I think it's important to show that you've been responsible for something. So even if it's not like a paid role, if you had any volunteering, you want to put that in there. If you've been leading, I don't know, like the debate society, you want to put that in there. Like positions of responsibility that you've had, or, you know, I would just put it in there because it shows that you're able to be and take responsibility, you're able to communicate with other people, and like just a multitude of other skills. Another thing that I would say about, you know, writing about your work history and all that kind of stuff is to make sure that you write about it in a way that shows your skills. So you don't want to just say, yeah, I was like a waitress at corporate events. So this is actually a role that I used to do, but I was a waitress at corporate events and I used to serve food. Do you get? You want to explain it in a way that is like through working in a team and through working in a team of, I don't know, other waiters and waitresses at professional corporate events.
Stop.
I don't know. You gotta hype yourself up. Do you get? No one knows how good you are or no one knows what skills you have except for what you tell them. So the best thing that you can do is, you know, show them that you have the skills for the role. So how I did it was, I'm really spilling the tea, but I'm giving you the advice that my brother gave me, which was literally, talk about your roles in relation to the job description. So I probably went overkill on some of my applications and made sure that everything that I put in my applications matched what I saw in the job description. But obviously you don't need to do it for everything, or maybe you do, it depends on the firm again. But I would just say make sure what you're writing shows that you're capable of doing that role and whatever they've put in the job description for that particular firm. For example, if you're applying for, I don't know, a firm that specializes in something in medical and you've had experience in like a hospital or something, that is probably something that you want to hype up because that's very relevant to the firm. Even if it's soft skills, being able to communicate, work in a team, you know, be a problem solver, that kind of stuff. Hype it up. You're awesome, and they need to know that too. Third or fourth part, I think we're on now. Fourth part is situational based questions. So I'm looking down at my phone. So situational based questions, so theory based questions, and also like generic work-based questions. So the situational-based questions I have seen in almost every application bar like one or two, which is if they give you a scenario. So what would you do if you had 3 or 4 different priorities and there was a due date tomorrow, and this senior partner came in and was like, hey, I need this tomorrow by 7 a.m, but you actually have another deadline at like 10 a.m, which you need the rest of the evening to work for. What would you do? So it's just like, that's an example, but it's just like those kinds of situational questions. A careers advisor actually told us anytime you see those questions, use the STAR method. So I'm just gonna link something down below in the description, which kind of like a link to a website or something which outlines what the STAR method is. And I think it's a good template it covers, a multitude of things, but please do not stick to that if you don't want to use it. Just make sure you answer the question. That's actually key. Like, what would you do? And why would you do it as well? Don't forget to include that. That's important because to me, it's basic because I filled out so many applications, but okay, cool. You're not going to do X, Y, and Z, but why? And also I will note, just like a quick side note, is that a lot of these questions will have word counts or character limits or something like that. So just be mindful when you're writing answers. You're not writing like a dissertation for each question. You don't need to write 15 paragraphs for like one question. It's highly unlikely that they have the space to accept that on the application form anyway. So the next part is work-based questions. So questions about, I say work-based questions, but they're more like questions about you, I think is more appropriate. So the next part is, and the last part that I'm going to touch on, is questions about you and why you want to, and like your relationship with them. So why do you want to work at the firm? Why do you want to do an apprenticeship? Why do you want to work in that industry? Why? They're trying to figure out your motivations here as to why you want to do A, a sister apprenticeship, and B, why you want to do a sister apprenticeship or an apprenticeship with them. There are so many, and this is why I always say, don't just apply to any firm. Ma'am, sir, ma'am, whoever you are that's watching this, you're going to be spending 5.5 to 6 years there. You don't want to just be working anywhere. And I'm not saying you should now base your decision off like where you apply based on reputations. Like, I know some companies have a reputation of like having a really poor work-life balance, but obviously take everything that you get with a pinch of salt because you're going to be an apprentice there. You're not going to be like a full-time employee there. I would highly suggest that for those questions, which is, hey, I got the apprenticeship, but I really do wish that I message people on LinkedIn that work at the firm to ask like, why are they there? And like how they find the culture, so that when I was to get to the interviewing process, I can ask like, or if they ask me, why do you want to work? I'll be like, well, first of all, I spoke to some of your employees. How about that? They're looking for like a real motivation. Like, why do you want to work there? Do you find the work interesting? Does the company's values align with your own values? Do you care about the culture? So guys, I have a meeting to go to right now. I just realized it's 6:30. So like, comment, share, and subscribe. Please, if you have any other application tips, comment them down below. If you have any questions, comment them down below. But yeah, have a fantastic evening. Love you all. And have a great day. Bye.